Hello, everybody. Go.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hi, everybody. This is Educators Outdoors coming to you from the 100 Mile Wilderness Inn in Millinocket, Maine. We've been staying here the last couple of nights after we finished hiking out of Baxter State Park and got to Avall Bridge area. Mainly, we are here just because we had kind of an interesting night hike on day two. Basically it was day two of our hike, but we hiked up until probably about 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night, just trying to get as far into our day two mileage and stuff as we possibly could. And it was interesting to hike by headlamp. The trail is not super well marked for night hiking, but I don't think that it's something where the volunteers would have to go through and use glow-in-the-dark paint or highly reflective paint or something to repaint the blazes. I don't think that's the case. I think it's just the way that the trail was that for us that particular night. But it was just very interesting. And what the Appalachian Trail does is it will test you. And we were very, very much tested on the second day of our hike. On day two, there was a lot of testing and challenging going on, which was part of why we did it. We knew it wasn't going to be easy, but that's part of why we did it, was just to be challenged.
Exactly. Maine is having some really, really rough weather right now.
Lots of rain.
There are parts of the 100-mile wilderness that are impassable right now. So we are spending a couple of days here and figuring out, when we're going to get to get back on. But we have really enjoyed this couple of days here. This has been really nice. Like Todd said, we did get very challenged. In Baxter State Park is no joke. It is serious and beautiful, though, absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
But Maine hiking is incredibly beautiful, but it is incredibly tough.
Yes.
There is not one smooth step on the trail unless it's a smooth rock.
Right, or roots.
Or a
or
smooth
rocks
root.
and roots, or mud. Or bogs.
Yeah, the bogs were kind of smooth and slimy.
Yeah.
But
that's kind of fun.
Yeah. So our shoes are drying out because they were completely soaked in what looks like swamp water.
Hopefully it was swamp water.
We didn't get to see a moose, but we did see a golden retriever.
Yes, we
in the lake. So
yes, and we saw a turtle.
We did see a big turtle, a big eastern box turtle. So that was kind of nice. But, and he was looking at us like, I'm faster than y'all are right now. Because at that point I was really hobbling. And Todd was so kind and generous to stay with me at my pace instead of running ahead like I know he could have.
Yeah, but it's because I love you and we got to stay together. Teams stick together.
Yes. But anyway, the night hike was very interesting. We were both, I think, kind of like spooked by different things, as we were going along, sounds
Possibly.
and tracks, animal tracks and things like that.
And bear scat, that kind of didn't scare me, but it made me like, okay, maybe I can pick up the pace a little more and get through this area, but I won't tell her.
Yeah. There's something very humbling about walking through the wilderness of Maine in the dark.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, there's just nothing out there. And it's really something. What was kind of eerie to me was a lot of times there wasn't even a sound. I mean, you could hear the water, but I expected to hear all these night animals and owls and all this stuff. And there was just nothing.
No.
It was completely silent, which was really strange.
Well, and I think a part of it is because the Maine North Woods where we are, at least the way that Cody at AT Hostel and Outfitters in Millinocket explained it to us in our Sobo workshop a couple of days or so ago, is that Maine is truly the last bit of wilderness in the United States. When you go to a lot of the parks and stuff, the emphasis is going to be more on the wilderness aspect than it is on recreation. And even for Baxter State Park, it's very much the same way, where there is no running water, there is no electricity, because they're trying to keep it as wild as possible. And so Maine, he said, the way he explained it is Maine has the highest population of bears in all the United States, but you're not going to probably see them because Maine is truly a wilderness area. So all the bears are way away from where human beings would normally be. They haven't been trained to stick around where cars are driving by throwing food at people, or
Right.
campers are leaving food behind, or feeding bears for a photo op or something stupid like that. Instead, what's going on is the bears are just living their lives out in the wilderness, and they don't even realize that human beings are around.
One thing that I noticed as we were walking through there was I felt very much like the park was watching me.
Yeah.
You know, it was really strange. It's kind
Yeah.
of like you felt like you were an uninvited guest. You know, not that it was an uninviting place, but
Right.
I almost felt like I was treading on kind of sacred ground, if that makes sense.
Well, and yeah. And
So-
we were. I mean, when we hiked Katahdin, if I remember right, the word Katahdin in the Penobscot language or whatever language of the Native Americans who were up here at the time, it means something like greatest mountain. And when we hiked it on day one, the mountain did not find us worthy. We were not good enough to get all the way to the top according to the mountain's demands, but that's
Yeah.
completely fine.
Yeah.
That's completely fine because we still got to walk on her about halfway up.
And it was very
was-
amazing.
yeah, it was.
And when, you know, we did notice another little mountain off to the side called the Owl. And I've kind of gotten a little bit obsessed with it now
Yeah.
because it's like a little miniature Katahdin, but anyway, it's beautiful too. But one thing that I was thinking was, you know, the park was kind of speaking to me, sort of like, you know, I'm gonna let you pass through here, but I'm gonna test you at
Yes.
every turn.
Yes.
You know, you
Yes.
think that you've finally, you know, crested this particularly difficult climb, and you're like, okay, it's gonna be smooth. No, it's not, because now you've got to slide down a mud bank, or you've got
With
to
a big root right in the middle of the
yeah,
bank.
you've got a big root right in the middle, or you've got, you know, these big boulders on either side, but my legs are too short to quite, you know, reach down.
Right.
And so, you know, having to kind of create your own steps. Or
And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to send black flies that are hungry for human flesh. And I'm going to send mosquitoes, relentless mosquitoes with extra long noses, proboscises, or whatever it is, that can get through any clothing material that you might have and are immune to DEET and repel.
Exactly.
Enjoy your hike.
Right, exactly. So it's like, you know, the park's like throwing all this stuff at us. You know, I've got, okay, all right, you can handle those rocks. Okay, here's some roots. All right, you handle those roots. All right, here's some mud. All right, you handle that. Here's a really shaky water crossing. Okay, so you're still here. All right, here comes some black flies.
Yeah.
Here comes some
So
mosquitoes.
let's combine all this together.
And when that didn't work, here comes the thunderstorm.
Yes. Oh, and here comes the nighttime.
Exactly. So anyway, it was really interesting. But
Yeah.
we made it all the way across from Katahdin all the way to Abel, and it was interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, so here we are, and we are enjoying much needed rest at the 100-Mile Wilderness Inn, I think is the name of it.
Yes.
She runs a shuttle that goes out.
Gail.
Yeah, goes out to Abel, and or wherever anybody calls her in desperation for.
Or not.
Speaking of the Abel store, after you've trudged your way across all that, this store is like a nice little beacon, you know, and it's got the ice cream and sandwiches
And Dr. Pepper.
and Dr. Pepper, but no telephone.
No telephone.
So we were looking for, because we knew that the 100-Mile Wilderness had some impassable parts right now due to all this rain. We were looking for somewhere to stay, but you know, all these lists and everything that we had weren't doing us any good because there's no phone and no cell service. And the nice gentleman there who worked there, he knew that he could get a signal in the men's bathroom. So he went in there, and a couple of minutes later he came out and he's like, Gail's on her way. She'll be here in an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And while we were waiting, we met two really cool people that we talked to. One of them was from Claremont, not too far away, actually, from where we live. And another one was a Maine native. And we enjoyed talking to both of them. One was a fisherman and one was a logger.
Yeah.
And so they were both super interesting to talk to while we waited on Gail and her little van.
Oh, and Kristen at A-Ball Store was incredibly helpful to help us get online so we could communicate with our family and try to reach somebody who could shuttle us back to Millinocket. So
Mhm.
yeah,
And speaking of, we love Millinocket.
yes,
It's a great place.
It's a great town.
We've had 2 meals at Angelo's.
Pizza.
Yeah, really good. I had an IPA that was tasty tonight. It was what was it called? Lunch.
Lunch
Lunch.
IPA.
Named after a whale, a famous whale that lives up here. So anyway, so we are doing well. We're both happy, healthy, still enjoying this adventure. I'm sore as I can be from about my waist down, but that'll go away as we get stronger.
Right.
So
And we should be setting out tomorrow.
So look for an update in the next few days, and we'll see where we are. We'll be somewhere in Maine.
Probably.
So anyway, happy trails.
Happy trails.
And talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.